Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Big Idea. I'm the spokesperson for U.S. Mission ASEAN. My name is Jason Seymour, and I welcome everyone to the show. We started this show because we know that many Southeast Asian leaders have big ideas. But some of those leaders have managed to turn those big ideas into a reality. They inspire all of us. And we have one such special guest today, a very special guest. I am very excited to be talking to someone from Burma. We've all seen the horrific images of what's been happening in Burma recently, and we certainly want to learn more, but we want to learn more about what's been happening in Burma for the past couple of years, not just for the last few months, because a lot of Burmese individuals have been doing amazing things to bring their society forward. Before I bring in my guest, I just want to add a quick special thank you to the US Embassy in Burma who helped to make this interview possible. Now let's bring in our guest. Hello, George.
Hello, hi.
And welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
So you're welcome to keep your mask on. If you're comfortable taking your mask off, that would be wonderful so we can all hear what you have to say about Burma, but we'll let you do whatever is comfortable for you. Sure. So the first topic, I want to get to something that you're very passionate about, and that is mental health. You started a mental health crisis helpline in Burma. And I would like you to tell us, just generally to start with, tell us more about this helpline.
Well, yeah, the helpline name is Call Me Today, and Call Me Today is the first Myanmar nonprofit mental health helpline, and I established in 2018. And our mission is to achieve nationwide access in mental health services for all the people around the country. Now we have started counseling over 1,000 clients till now.
That is incredibly impressive. So as you said, you started in 2018. How did you first get the idea that you wanted to start a crisis helpline?
Yeah, the idea was back to 2018. I learned that one of my friends has committed suicide, leaving the message that there is nobody for him to talk about his stories and his emotions. So that's not only him. So I started this, and hopefully I could say somebody's same situation with him. So
it hit your heart. That's what motivated you. It was a personal story that you had. Had you ever been involved in the mental health field before, or was this something new for you?
It is completely new for me at the time. I was never been that much interested in mental health before that tragic event.
Uh-huh. And how did you find people to help you? Because I'm sure you didn't do it all on your own. I'm sure you reached out to role models, to guides, to people who had some experience. How did you find those people?
Well, Myanmar people are really generous and really want to help other people as well. So as soon as I started this, people around the country contact me, how can they help us? And also they see this is not only the common problem, and this is really things to consider. So since that time, I've got my counselors. They work as a voluntarily at Call Me Today, and they really experience and train counselor as well. Also, thanks to media there, due to the media, then I've successfully connected with my supervisor as supervision as well. He called me that like 6 months later. Then 6 months later after the first after I found it, and how can he help me, and what is your problem there? So also he asked the same question like you,
Sure.
like he can't do alone, and so I asked him, I need technical assets, I need people to help me. So then till now he helped me as much as he can, and I really appreciate their effort. So there are many people behind me, the professional counselor and trained counselor and psychiatrist as well. So yeah, they really want to make this happen.
Mm. It's always a group effort. So if you find people, if you find the right people who can help you make a project going, that makes all the difference. So is this helpline, is this available 24 hours or a certain amount of hours each week?
Yeah, it's not possible for 24 hours. It's only in weekdays from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. only. Uh, we cannot operate to 24 hours yet due to the capacity and also due to the demands and suppliers as well.
Mhm. And how do you train when people show an interest? It takes certain training. I know I worked on a mental health crisis helpline myself when I was a university student. And we were given training and they assessed whether we had sufficient skills because these are very, very serious issues. As you mentioned, some of the people who call the helpline may be thinking about suicide. It's very, very serious. So how do you help your volunteers acquire the skills they need to handle these types of conversations?
Yeah, mostly we focus on emotional support and we focus on front. We try to give a hope that there are somebody and we are here to open us anything they want to tell us. So we stay in that. The crisis intervention is really a great thing to consider, but it's not enough only by reaching out to phone line directly. So we train them especially for to be readiness to accept and making no judgment to the clients. And also another thing is we don't ask their name. We provide free and absolute anonymous platform for them because the thing is the same situation to my tragic event there. There is only if there was someone who don't make a church and who don't judge and who don't give comment on this problem, then a client could relieve their stress a little bit. They could relieve their stress there, and then he could move on. Because the problem is our country is really kind of we really judge a lot and we make comments on other problems as well. So I focus on emotional support there and also we consider the volunteer has to be from psychologist or from mental health background or may have experience in like one-to-one counseling or do they have experience in other clinical experience as well. We look for that too. Yeah.
Your country is not the only culture, location where people judge other people too much. I could tell you about America too. every culture is challenged by this, and when you focus on mental health issues, you really have to put judgment to the side. And as you were saying, focus on the needs of this individual and to get through this specific crisis. What were some of when you first got the program started in 2018, what kinds of people would call into the helpline? Now, I'm not asking you to betray any confidences of any specific cases, but generally, what types of problems were Burmese individuals bringing to you and your team?
Mostly it is about relationship things. It's like the most mostly females are more likely to call us. There's over 75% of our clients are female, and they call us most the main problem we consider we are dealing with is about relationship problems, and some from like some from work from their work as well, but most of them are relationship things.
Why do you think, at least initially, you were receiving a lot more calls from women than for men? Do you have any general thoughts about that?
My thoughts on this point is that mostly men feel shy to express their feelings to other people. We shape ourselves as man has to be strong and man has to be resilient to any stress and pressure, whether from work, from the family. So man usually has to be strong, and they try to just relieve their stress to go into bar or go into nightclub or chilling out with their friends. But for girls, they are quite okay to express their feeling. So, but they feel shy to share with to their friends and family. So they reach out to us, and they telling about their emotional problems, about their relationships and their stress for thinking when they thinking about their future.
So we received a question from our audience, and just to mention to our audience, we do take questions. So if you would like to ask George something, please put your question in the comments section. And I hope I'm saying this person's name correctly. May Finzar Aung asked, how can people reach your service? Just by a phone call? And as she mentions here, which we both know, people need to talk to someone whenever they are in a mentally down state, and that can happen anytime, day, night. So how do people take advantage of your services?
Exactly. People has to tell someone. It could be day, it could be night, but to reach out to come today, we have been operated at night from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. with the phone line. This is one method. Another thing, it is only accessible for people living inside the Myanmar because this would look at phone line as well. But for the Myanmar people around the world, they can reach out to us using our booking appointment platform, which is online counseling. We are provided for that as well. Another thing is they can stay write their emotional letters to our email as well. All of the information are being posted on our Facebook page and also on our website as well.
And there's a phone number that people can call.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's a local phone number. Okay,
Yeah.
well, we'll make sure everyone has that information in our description below as well. And just for clarification for the audience, this is in Burma, so I imagine that most, if not all, of your volunteers speak Burmese.
Yeah, all of my volunteers speak in Burmese. Yeah.
Are there a variety of dialects in Burma? I'm not as familiar with Burma, so do most people speak one dialect of Burmese, or are there a variety of languages?
Not only Burmese. There are 7 other major dialects as well. So we are kind of comprising with different ethnicity in our country. So the Burmese is not only one dialect that we usually use to communicate. So there's other dialects.
Do you have people who volunteer at your crisis helpline who speak more than one dialect?
At this moment, there is no other dialect that Burmese. I found it is one of the barrier that one comes to reach out to nationwide as well. And I was trying to reach out to Korean, yeah, Koreanese. I in last 2 months in January, I have planning to reach out to them as well, but to due to those kind of tragic things and due to coups and then things mess out, and now it is only Burmese available at this moment.
Well, you work with what you have. As word gets out and more volunteers, maybe you have time to help you out. Maybe you'll get more people with those skills. You can only work with what you have. So you said that when you first started, a lot of people were calling about relationship matters. Then the COVID pandemic hit, and that had an impact worldwide, including Burma. Did that affect the types of calls you would receive at your helpline?
Yeah, it changed the landscape of the mental health and also the way we see how mental health is. COVID changed all the situation and all the perspective on how we think about mental health before, because normally before the COVID-19, we think mental health is only for those who have mental illness, and it's not. It can be happen to us. We think in that way, but after COVID-19, joblessness and recession, and also some kind of social problems, gender violence, domestic violence, and rise. So then everyone's happened to feel like, oh, this is from us. This is near way, and young people are not accepting this is not a joke. This is not a joke. Joke to call depression is a joke. We used it this way, but now this is not a joke, and we have to think about considerably. So, and then the topic also changed. Before COVID-19, we used to talk to a relationship problem, but during the COVID-19, we started to uh, the, the getting to be popular, and also about the we feel anxiety about thinking our future. What happened if job? What happened if being positive? So those kind of things. But the main problem is, yeah, the, the create anxieties and much stress than before COVID-19.
Well, certainly when someone loses his or her job, it's people think a lot about the element of maybe not being able to pay rent or a mortgage for property, or not being able to buy food, and they think of all the practical elements, but there's a huge mental health component: the loss of identity, the loss of purpose, the sadness and not being able to contribute to the family. There's so many layers. I do want to stay for one moment on something you mentioned, and that was domestic violence. The U.S. State Department has a program called the Young Southeast Asian Leadership Initiative. I know that you're part of this. And we had a webinar last night, and one of the speakers talked about what a significant increase in domestic violence has occurred in times of COVID. Beyond all the stresses of everything, a lot of people are stuck at home. And so they have frustration, and who do they take the frustration out on? Their partner, their children, a sibling, someone in the family, and sometimes it's done with physical violence. So what kind of situations did you encounter, your team encounter with the helpline in terms of domestic violence? And how did you deal with, perhaps if someone called and was dealing with that situation?
Well, at that time, when we deal with domestic violence, then we try to make her calm fastly. Then we follow by sharing the numbers to refer about paralegal or any assistant that she could get from other different organizations as well. We just stay in the site. We just stay from providing mental health care services only. If it is kind of like if she need kind of law enforcement contact, or like for like paralegal service advice for her, then we share that the number to contact to other organizations as well. And we have formed a referral network as well, not only for paralegal but also for mental health hospital, and also psychiatric and clinic, and so on and so forth, many organizations and many clinics as well. This is one thing. And another thing is that we try to find the cause why they have suffered domestic violence during COVID-19. And we found out that is the point that you say is the same in our country, because we stay in the house all the time, and we have no stress reliever for ourselves. Then due to the gender equal, due to like masculine and feminine, so those kind of gender based things, and they have suffered domestic violence from their partners, and also from their family, because the main thing is there is no place for relieve their stress, relieve their burden, and relieve to spend their time. Yeah.
I could ask you 5 more questions on that topic, but I do want to transition a bit. So you started in 2018. You were responding to many issues. Then the COVID pandemic hit. You were responding to many issues. And then switching from domestic violence to another form of violence, we had the military coup and the aftermath. And I'm wondering about who is calling in to your crisis helpline now? How are you helping them? What kind of stories are you hearing? Please share.
Well, right now, for us, survivor guild, and it is not only them, but also everyone around the country, including me. One mostly during these times, we feel empty. Sometimes we cannot try to make effort to reach out to mental health service providers. This is a problem. Um, and some call to us. There was also domestic violence case we found out some people calling out domestic violence during the coup as well. And the thing is, with the survivor guilt that we have nothing. We don't know how to solve these problems. We participate in strike against the junta, but we feel the survivor guilt. Those kind of discuss the major conversation between the counselor. Another thing is people who is in CDM, they feel depressed, and also another thing is they scared. They hope. Every time after talking with us, they 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 get their hope back, and they sure about to win. So, and finally is we're recovering after the session. So these are the topic during this day. To sum up, stay the violent case has been heard. Stay a survivor kit on anxieties and stress from people has been heard, uh, based on our experience in formal counseling during these days.
Very moving. We received an excellent question. This is from Han Win Aung. And the question really is, either for an individual or someone you know, what are the signs of a real mental health crisis? When does one identify for him or herself that he or she really needs to seek help? Or alternatively, you have a brother, sister, friend, parents. What are some signs when you need to take the conversation beyond just he or she is having a bad day, but there's a serious mental health issue, perhaps even the beginning of suicide ideation? What are some tips you could give our audience to identify a serious mental health crisis?
Well, when it comes to recognize is, am I going to the person for counseling or something to treat for my mental health? Either it is the time to go there, it's the time to take treatment, or it's the time to care for your mental health. You start to think about, am I okay or not? So this is the start there, because we try to hide our emotions, and we always think ourselves we are strong enough to do things, but the reality is not. We are social people, and we have to socialize with many people. So when you start to think about, am I okay, or oh, I need somebody to talk, then it's time to take care of your mental health. Another thing is that suicide attempts. Whenever you heard the news about suicide or suicide committed news or somebody's, and you just think yourself, and if you heard those kind of things from inner voice, you to take it seriously, because we sometimes, honestly, for me, it is not quite well to mention those kind of things, because that is what my friend happened. So I don't want to mention kind of words during these conversations. This will inspire to other people. There are 9 out of 10 people currently in Myanmar having depressions and potential to commit those kind of tragic things. So I think it's better not to discuss about suicide at this moment.
Given all that's been happening in Burma in the last couple months and the fact that you focus on mental health, clearly the last couple months have been very stressful for you, I'm sure. What are techniques you have employed for yourself to stay focused, to stay healthy, and to be there for other people?
I spent some of my time with two of my best friends.
Mm,
Maybe like at night, I talk with them, I chat with them. And this is one way. Another thing is self-care. Is also we did that. College Today also create 2 weeks campaign about self-care program, which is day-to-day list to day-to-day to-do list for their mental well-being. So those kind of things are really they are kind of bite-sized, but it's helpful for 2 weeks at least. So those kind of things we did. And another thing is we watch movie. I watch movie. So in the with this those things, I try to recover myself, but uh, it solved a little bit, but not all of the problems and stress as well.
any US movies on your list?
Sorry.
Any American movies on that list of
Uh,
movies you watch?
yeah, I watched the recent from Netflix is about Dota 2, the Dragon Blood. Dragon Blood. Yeah, I watched that series. This is the latest one anime I watched. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Well, I do think it's important when times are very, very tough and very serious to have moments throughout the day when you put all that stress out of your mind and you try to have a relaxing moment. Sometimes it can just be eating foods you like or reading a book you enjoy or watching a movie. You have to balance it because sometimes in life, things are not in our control. And for many Burmese people right now, life it definitely seems out of control. I'm sure you've heard that in the calls you have received, that feeling of being out of control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For them, it is mental health crisis intervention is needed. Honestly, I would say. The
Mm,
problem is the problem is even medic get shot, so nobody's going cannot go to the site and tell and give them mental health support to those who has lost their family because even medics has been got shot. So how come we mental health service care provider can go there? Is really risky and also it's not helpful not only for the client but also for the care provider caregiver as well. So
mm,
also one is tragic things happen. They cannot dial to their phones and call us because also this is one of the weakness for coming today that we operate at 5 p.m. at night. We started at 5 p.m. at night. Usually those tragic things happen in 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. They one at that time they mostly get shot to death. So so some of those stories have and maybe not heard from come today's side, but I believe there are many people who need crisis intervention for their mental health immediately as much as possible.
mhm. Absolutely. Well, you clearly have a lot of inner strength. Where do you find your inspiration? Do you have role models that inspire you, or where does that strength come from?
Yeah, my role model, yeah, it is Martin Luther King Jr. because he at his time, he know what is the right thing, what is the most important thing to fight for in his time. So I would say in Myanmar also, I believe mental health is the most important thing to consider and speak out. And so that's I get inspiration from him that so
Mhm.
even if he could focusing on the most important things and he's trying to solve it, he made it, and his legacy still remain in this in this society. So I inspire him a lot.
One of the reasons that Martin Luther King Jr. inspired many Americans is because he was committed to peaceful demonstrations and peaceful marchings.
Yeah.
And many people would see images on their televisions of his movement where people were crossing a bridge peacefully and they
Mm.
would be attacked quite violently. So many people around the world have been inspired by images of Burmese marching in the street peacefully and responding to such a serious time and situation with a calm strength, marching in the street. It's quite inspirational. And I'm sure you are, and many Burmese are inspired by all that Burmese people are doing in a peaceful way to respond to what has happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to ask you a couple questions. We'll come back to the situation in Burma for a moment, but I do want to have a chance to ask you about the Waisili Academic Fellowship. This is a very special US government program, and you were selected for this fellowship. So could you tell us a little bit about how you heard about that program and what you were hoping to accomplish in that program?
Yeah, I heard this program thing during my university student life that I really inspired people going there, and wow, that is great opportunity for young people and also a great exposure to learn things from Americans, especially about democracy. Another thing is about the to way to lead people. Another thing is how the great nation built by young people. And I really want to explore those kind of things. And when I finished my university degree, I applied for that. Then I made it. So I am 2020 YCD Academy Fellow, studying social entrepreneurship and economic development at the University of Connecticut. So yeah, that is. I haven't been yet, so I still feel excited when I always think when I will think about how would my tour to United States be. I really feel excited for that.
If you could go to the United States, and we certainly hope you get there and soon, what would be a city in the United States that you would like to visit?
Washington, yeah, Washington D.C. Yeah,
Washington,
Washington.
D.C.,
Yeah,
which is a
I want to
lovely,
see. Yeah,
lovely city.
yeah,
What is it about Washington, D.C. that appeals to you?
the capital. Yeah, I want to see.
Building. Beautiful
Yeah,
building. Mm-hmm.
exactly.
The architecture in DC is amazing. There's so much history, so many museums. It's a fascinating place. I love visiting there. Whenever I'm there, there's always something new to see, a new cultural exhibit. So good choice. I do want to ask about one additional project that you were working on that I saw in your bio, and that is the International Foundation for Electoral Systems. Not related to mental health, but I'm curious what that project was about.
Yeah, it is about game, it is about the game, and also I'm really proud of the project myself for my team as well, because it is about to encourage and to persuade young voter for 2020 election. At that time, COVID-19 is really mess out the country communication channel. So nobody's sharing pamphlet at that time. Nobody's using the like billboard there. So then the IFAS organization looks for the solution that to attract young voter around the country for getting to cast their vote for 2020 election. Then we started with voter education game, which name We Vote. That is the first voter education game in Myanmar in Burmese language. and we made it. Within 2 weeks of development, we made it. The time was so close at the time. That is, I really is that because that is the first education game. Because we Myanmar people really, especially parents, do not let their children or they don't want to hear about gay anymore because they just want to focus on education, schooling, kind of thing. But at the time, we young people with my team of the gay or young voter education or young voters right there, it hits and many people learn how to vote see regards to COVID-19 measure as well as casting the vote correctly. So again, it's about teaching young voters how to vote correctly and safety to COVID-19 measure.
You have many causes. You're very inspirational. You have your hands in many, many different things. I
Thank you very
I do want to ask you another question. We're getting towards the end of the interview. The time is just flying by. But many Southeast Asians and Americans who don't know a lot about Burma are seeing these images now, and all they're seeing is a few images on television. What would you like all of us to know about Burma? Those of us who are not living in Burma and just getting bits and pieces of what's going on in the news. What should we know?
Do you mean at this point right now?
Right now, right
Yeah.
now. What would you like to tell us about the reality on the ground in Burma?
The reality on the ground is really tragic. We need help from anyone around the world, regards to mental, regard to our safety, regards to help us in against the coup as well. Because regard let me turn from mental health point. Firstly, we need emergency crisis intervention as much as possible. We need shelter and safe shelters and food, as well as safe environment for us. For because we are living in terror right now. We are not safe to travel around the city. We are not safe to go from there to another point. Even in our own car, we can still get arrested because we just show our three-hand sign. So everyone also we cannot sleep well at night because the 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 military just try to drag out with proper reason. So we are now living in terror, regardless is whether day or night. So we need attention and we need help from anyone around the world to see more clearly what is happening in Myanmar. I suggest to follow the Twitter trend, hashtag what is happening in Myanmar, and you will see massive casualties around the country, and there are many people dying in it. There is one person died in every 80 minutes in March only. So over 500 people being dead, shot to death, being dead. Some many of them shot to death to their brain. Headshot, of course. So also for young people, we feeling survival guilt, especially from Myanmar, for not living in Myanmar. So Myanmar people in other countries also they feel more than us. One is compared to feeling survival guilt because they feel shame themselves because they help us. So I would say if somebody is listening to this video and they Myanmar friend, please support him or her, and also uh, try to listen to their voice as well because we need someone to talk about and we need some tangible things to help for our people and for our country. Yeah. Yeah.
And now, as a as a Burmese individual, do you have something that you would like to say to other Burmese individuals?
Uh, can I talk in my native language for that?
You may.
အခုမြန်မာပြည်ကနေပြီးတော့နားထောင်နေတဲ့လူတွေအားလုံးကိုအခွင့်အရေးရတော့ကျွန်တော်ပြောချင်လို့ပါဆိုတော့ပထမဆုံးပြောချင်တာကအခုဒီညကနေပြီးတော့မြန်မာလိုပြောရတာတအားကုန်ပြီသိလားနောက်ပါလေအားတို့တယောက်စီတိုင်းမှာကြာဆုံးသွားတဲ့အာဇာနည်တွေအတွက်ကိုငါတို့မကူညီနိုင်လောက်ဘူးဆိုပြီးတော့အပြစ်တင်တဲ့စိတ်တွေဖက်ဖက်ကစိတ်ဖြစ်စီမှုတွေငါတို့ခံစားနေရတယ်ဆိုတော့လေငါကိုယ်လည်းခံစားရတယ်အားလုံးတူတူပဲဖြစ်မှာပါဒါပေမဲ့လေဘာအကြောင်းနဲ့မှငါတို့အတိတ်ပဲမရှိဘဲနဲ့ဆုံးရှုံးခံရတာမျိုးလုံးဝဖြစ်မှာမဟုတ်ဘူးငါတို့မှာငါတို့ပဲရှိရလေနော်တကယ်လို့စိတ်ပိုင်းဆိုင်ရာရဲ့ကိုညီလိုအပ်တာမျိုးဆိုရင် community တွေကိုဖြစ်စေတခြားအဖွဲ့အစည်းတွေကိုဖြစ်စေမိမိပါမိတဲ့ငယ်ချင်းတွေကိုဖြစ်စေအကူအညီတောင်းပါငါတို့မှာငါတို့ပဲရှိရဆိုတော့ငါတို့ချင်းချင်းပဲစောင့်ရှောက်ပါလေဟုတ်တယ်မလားနောက်ပြီးတော့ဒီပွဲကငါတို့နိုင်မှာသိလားအဲ့ဒါကျင်းသေးတယ်ဒီပွဲကငါတို့နိုင်မှာမလို့ကျင်းသေးပေါ့ငါတို့ဒီຫນွေဥကိုအတူတူကြော်ဖြတ်ကြမယ်နောက်ပြီးကြာဆုံးသွားတဲ့အာဇာနည်တွေအတွက်လည်းဥညွတ်ပါတယ်ကျေးဇူးတင်ပါတယ် Yeah that is it
And for the benefit of our audience who doesn't speak Burma, you don't need to translate what you just said word for word, but what was the basic sentiment of what you conveyed to the Burmese community?
It is about giving support to my own people. We need emotional support and we need to appreciate each other. We are doing really well and we are doing really hard to win this battle. So I'm trying to give them support and I try to show my sympathies and my condolences to fallen heroes as well. Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you so much, George, for participating in this interview today. There are so many serious issues going on in Burma right now, and it is important to think about the mental health element of everything that is transpiring there. And I do appreciate all the efforts that you're making to respond to those needs. And I do hope you stay in touch. I know that you will. You're an active member of the Waisili Network. And I hope you stay in touch with me. You have my information. And I hope to have you in the future for another interview. And we'll touch base and see how things are progressing there. For our audience, we are going to be putting George's information in the description and links to his social media pages. If you have more questions for George, you're welcome to share them with us or contact him directly. I know that a lot of people in our audience really, really care about what is happening in Burma. The US government also really, really cares. And let's hope that there's a bright future for this wonderful country. So thank you so much.